One Kay, how you doing? Welcome to Talk Your
What's
Shit
going
podcast.
on? What's going on? How you
Nice to
doing?
get you here. Period. You ready for some questions?
Yeah, most definitely.
Let's go.
Yeah, I got some
All right,
questions
so I
next.
do have a question for you. In the song "Don't Cost to Be Real," you explore themes of authenticity. What personal experiences inspired this track, and how do you perceive authenticity in the current hip hop landscape?
Okay, so with that song, damn, y'all got me going down memory lane too. That song, I was inspired basically kind of just off of what I was telling the other young lady, what I was telling her, like basically like me being in the shadow of like Future and all of that going on, and me trying to like jump out of that shadow to put my own spotlight on my own self. I felt like at that present time, I felt like people wasn't like get showing me the type of love that I feel like I should have got, like just purely through me. Like I feel like a lot of people were showing me love because of the fact that I had Future in my background, like in my backyard. Like I had that situation going on. So a lot of times I be feeling like when people be trying to involve themselves with me, I be thinking that they thinking of a bigger picture. Like if I get close to him, I'll be able to, use him as like a stepping stool, like a ladder to get close to the future. So it was like at that present time, I was just like, that's what inspired me, like with the whole song itself. It don't cost to be real because it's like all you got to do is just vibe with me and fuck with me in a genuine matter. And if our situation go far, eventually you will be around these Future and the different people that you might see that's behind me that I got in my background, and people that love me and support me. Eventually you can get there, but I was feeling like a lot of people was just basically trying to like take that step forward without actually being genuinely like locked in with me. So I just felt like a lot of people was using me, like, or trying to use me. So that came from like friends, that came from females. It just like a lot of shit with the industry shit. You will notice that people be only like gravitating to you when they feel like they can get something out of you or they can use you for something. Like, so I didn't really kind of know the industry was like that until I started going through all of those situations and noticing like, damn, like like would they be around me if Future wasn't right here? If Future ain't never like posted me on his Instagram, or if he never had nothing to do with me, would these same people love me the same way, or would they treat me the same way? Like, so I just was going through different stuff with my family. Like I started noticing that certain people that wasn't supporting me from when I first started to now all of a sudden they just, oh, I know every song and I just been there since day one, when I know for a fact they wasn't. Like it couldn't, like I can't count on my hand how many times you didn't been to a show that I didn't have, like, or how many times have you didn't even posted me on your Instagram and let people know that I got music that's out right now. Like, so I was just seeing a whole bunch of like fake love, and that's what inspired that song. And then
Period.
far as the authenticity, I definitely feel like it's a lack of that when it comes to the industry. But like I said, I didn't know coming into the game that most of this shit is like smoke and mirrors, like fairy tale. Like I didn't really understand that. Like when I first came in, I thought all that shit was just real and genuine. I thought even some of the people that I got around, I was thinking like the way they rapping or what they talk about, they really living this type of lifestyle. And then I realized when my ass is the only one going to jail and doing all of this other shit that a lot of these folks ain't really doing what they rapping about or what they saying about. Like, so it just made me realize, like, okay, yeah, this shit is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it's not really too much authentic. It's just a lot of people just kind of talking about topics, and shit they getting paid for it, really. Like,
Period. Thank you so much for answering that question. I knew it was a little complex, but I definitely want to take you back a little bit to your childhood if you don't mind. You ready for those kind of questions?
yeah, yeah.
All right. So you moved from Chicago to Atlanta, am I right, in the early age?
hmm
Um, in a search for like a better existence or life, better yet. How did this transition influence your musical journey? And what challenges did you face during this period growing up, during that transition?
Okay, yeah. So like I moved to Georgia from Chicago when I was like 14. So it was like getting ready to go into I was an eighth grader getting ready to go into ninth grade, going to starting high school. And it was a bit challenging when I first moved there because I kind of was like anti on the move. I didn't want to move. Like it was like I just had no choice because my mom was like, shit, this is where we going. So it was when I got there, it was kind of more like I was more bitter about it. So it was kind of like I was being defiant. I was doing a lot of BS that I shouldn't have been doing. But it was like I was hoping that my mama would like, you know what, I'm gonna just send your ass back to Chicago with your granny or something. That's what I was more hoping on. So I was kind of acting out on purpose to try to get away from Georgia. But the longer that I stayed there, I realized that it was better that my mama chose to move to Georgia, because Georgia is kind of more like home ground when it comes to like a brotherhood or black people. Like Georgia is kind of like one of like a black mecca, you know what I'm saying? So like everywhere I went, all I was seeing was black people. Like that was something that I wasn't used to too, because being in Chicago, I was still seeing a lot of whites, I was still seeing Latinos, I was still seeing a lot of different other cultures besides the black culture. But going there, all I seen was blacks. So that shit was kind of weird to me too. At the same time, I'm like, damn, everywhere I go and turn, I don't see not one Mexican. I don't see not one, and it was just kind of crazy. But like I said, the longer I kept continue to keep living there, by the time I got into like my 11th grade year of like being in Atlanta, I definitely appreciated the fact that my mama took us away, seeing that a lot of my cousins, a lot of my friends that I was in middle school with end up dying or going to jail for life over the gang banging and the, you know, the crazy chaotic shit that y'all hear about Chicago. Like just all of that going on, to me going here and I was safe. I wasn't having to worry about nobody shooting at me or none of that type of stuff. I was like, okay, I understand why my mom moved here. But yeah, it was challenging at first, but as I kind of like started getting used to it and moving around Georgia, it became fun to me, because then I started also realizing that a lot of people here ain't cut with the same cloth that I'm cut with. So I kind of use that kind of like as an advantage to kind of like bulldozer or kick my way into certain situations, because I just kind of knew I was more tougher than a lot of people that was there. Not saying that they not tough, but I just knew I was cut from a different cloth. I'm willing to go take it all the way left field, where most of these people not probably willing to do that. So I use that as an advantage to kind of move around Georgia and get my name like, you know, relevant in the streets to the street people that was like that I was involved with or whatever. So that kind of like helped me, the fact that I came from a war zone coming there where it's kind of like kumbaya and everybody peaceful. And y'all know of Georgia back at that time, it was nothing but dance music, snap your fingers, move your step, like all of that type of stuff. They wasn't really involved into the shoot 'em up, bang bang, the Chief Keef and the Lil Durk and the different stuff that I came from. They wasn't on none of that. Like, so it was cool. I got myself in a lot of trouble at the same time too, because like I said, I was moving different when I got out there, but it was cool for the like for the most part. And then, far as music wise, it showed me that I didn't always have to be rapping about killing or rapping about gang banging or the different stuff that from where my culture comes from, or dissing people that's dead or none of that. It showed me that I can actually harmonize music. Like that's when I started noticing like I wanted to start kind of like singing, rapping, like being melodic and all of that type of stuff, after I got around Future and been around the Young Thugs and the different people that come from Georgia that I've been around as far as music wise. And I started noticing like, damn, okay, I actually can sing a little bit. I can actually do this and do that. So it definitely changed up my whole diagram of my thought process when it came to music. Definitely changed it, like, because I don't really kind of even look at myself like a Chicago artist. I look at myself like a down south Georgia artist.
Period. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to shoot it back to Miss Mother if you don't mind.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about a typical creative process with you when crafting a new song. How do you balance lyrical content with production to ensure your message resonates with listeners? Because sometimes a lot of people can create music for them and they're like, well, if somebody gonna like it, they gonna like it. How do you make sure that your listeners tuning in when you're releasing new songs? Let's talk about it.
So starting off, I never had that thought. Like I took it exactly what you just said. Like I make whatever I like, and I'm like, if people like it, they like it. Like that's how I had the thought. But then once I got around, like I said, the futures and the different people that I knew from the industry and watched them put a song together from the hook, the chorus to the bridge to the verses to everything, and just know how to like really structure a song. That's what kind of made me start saying, okay, I need to start trying to structure my music and stuff. Because at first, I never used to put no hooks on none of my songs. It used to just be like, give me a beat, I'm gonna go up in there, I'm gonna freestyle from the top to the bottom. Like I told y'all, Wayne was like my favorite artist, so that's kind of like the thought process that I had when it came to rapping. But then, like, as I started getting like better and better at it, you know, kind of Future and different people pulled me to the side and was like, hey man, like you definitely cold when it comes to lyrics and you got bars, but you need to actually know how to structure a song. So as I started sitting in them studio sessions and just being a fly on the wall and watching them perfect they, they magic and do what they did, I started learning it myself. So I take it back to the studio myself when I'm by myself and started doing that same thing. And then far as like topics and different stuff, like I just look at what's going on in the world and I kind of try to see how I could put this in my own terminology, in my eyes, of how I look at it. Not necessarily like everybody might not resonate to it exactly how I resonate to it, but I know I come from like a common ground of people where majority of the people are going to be able to resonate to it and gravitate to it. So I just basically go off of what's going on in the world and I just speak my mind on what I feel like is going on in the world. So it's like I feel like that's the only reason why it's so easy for people to listen to my music, because it's like I'm not just talking about bullshit. Like I'm actually talking about shit that's actually going on in the hood, that's actually going on in poverty and places where people been broken families and growing up without no fathers figures in their life and all they know is the streets. Like I feel like they can relate to me only because I didn't been through it. So it's like I don't really kind of talk about stuff that I never really been through. I choose to kind of stay out of that. Like I'm not really no big political type of person when it comes to rapping and all that type of stuff. But if it's something that affected me, if it's political or whatever the case is, or if it affects my community or where I came from, then I can speak on it. But that's really kind of like what I do though. I just kind of go off of like my life situations or situations that I done been through with my friends that done came to vent to me and told me about something, or family that I know that done been through this situation. I ex- I express myself on that because I know like